Hello, hello. Today is September 17th, 2025. This is SIG Node weekly CI meeting. I put one item on agenda. If you have any other items on agenda, please put it there. Let me share my screen so it will be easier to discuss. You should be able to see it. So there were some reviews recently, and yeah, Maria, this is you, right? You turn on the camera.
Yeah, those were assigned to me, or I was the one that made them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, can you tell us more about the spec name, like where it came from?
Yeah. So this started with the issue. Let me find it real quick. The tracking issue. 133456. I can send it in the chat. And in that issue, there was a comment made by Howie a little while ago. Oh wait, sorry. Okay, so this issue stemmed a separate PR that was merged that had to do with CPU pressure, and in that PR there was this the comment, the second link that I clicked, where Howie talked about 3 different problems that he spotted. There was the first one that pertains to the specific PR about CPU pressure. The second one was about memory pressure, possibly like a flaky test. And then the third one was about the C group B1 test suite being tested or being ran when it should have been skipped. So I was assigned to check out on both. I'm still investigating the flaky test and the memory pressure, but the main discussion from the agenda is for the third point, which is about the C group suite being ran. And so what I was doing was passing in a system spec flag into the test args so that the cube test 2 has. So then the test binary can parse it, identify that this test is intended for the C group B1, and then skip it because the node was running on a Fedora CoreOS stable image, which defaults to C group B2 from like the recent releases. So that's kind of like the intent of what I was doing. It doesn't fix the problem, but it gives it a specific message, error message saying why it failed, which is like the incompatibility with the intended test environment and the actual node environment. And so now the follow-up discussion from the current PR is how to fix it now that it's been like identified and confirmed that there is a mismatch in the environment.
Yeah, makes sense. I stumbled across that PR, and it was quite interesting to see spec name. I think we historically we always relied on test detect the environment themselves, like test will look at where it runs, and sometimes it will skip itself because it can't run in this environment. I really like this new proposal with spec name. I don't know how applicable it is to C group V1. We may have a different solution for C group V1, but generally spec name is something that, you know how we do features in a test definition? I think if
I'm
you go
actually not
to,
familiar. I'm like a new contributor, so please, like, if I'm doing anything wrong, like, I'm happy to open to all the suggestions you have.
okay. Yeah, let me get to, I hope it will be interesting for more people. I will try to get to explanation how tests being categorized today and what we use for labels. If we find test, okay, this is okay, yeah. So this is a little bit outdated because we already went through the cycle of adding some labels and making them automatic. So now we have strongly typed support for feature gates and features. But general idea is still the same. So when we have tests, we try to categorize it into multiple buckets, and some buckets indicate what what test is doing, like just general description, where it's running, for instance, Linux only or Windows only tests. We also categorize whether it needs to be running serially, like one after another without parallel tests, so it needs to be run it can be run in parallel. So those are kind of basic descriptions for the test. And then on top of it, at different periods of time, we try to approach test categorization differently. And at some point, there was a conformance push, and conformance push was to ensure that clusters can be tested to be conformant with upstream Kubernetes behavior. So they can earn a badge of compatible cluster. And those tests were running, it was a big program, and tests are running as a like marked as a conformance. They have like a clear definition, and we watching them very closely. On the node side, we also wanted to indicate that some tests validate kubelet, and they are almost as good as conformance, but we didn't create any conformance program because kubelet is just one kubelet. There is no multiple kubelets to validate against, and we just called the categories that we use as node conformance. And this category over time started indicating that it's a general feature that works on all environments. So whenever you like whatever node you have, node conformance test will run. So you can run on Windows or like on cgroup v1 or cgroup v2, but when you set a limit on resources, but once limit is breached, you'll get eviction, those kind of things. So that was a node conformance tag. And then we also wanted to indicate that the feature is requiring, the test is requiring specific environment, meaning that test only works on environment with AppArmor enabled, for instance. And for this kind of tests, we at different times were different labels, and historically we sometimes stuck with old labels. But at the time we introduced a thing called feature, and this feature indicated the different environments where test is running. The problem arose when the same feature tag started being used for feature gates, because feature gate is also specific environment. You need to enable the feature gate on a test lane, but at the same time, it's not like truly feature, because after feature gate is graduated, you can run it as not conformance because it's like generic feature now, generic functionality now. But feature, I think, was stuck, and people started looking at feature as something like feature in terms of like category of tests, and rather than specific environment needed. And it broke a lot of promises, and we couldn't tell like whether we can, like at some point we had a test lane like run all the features, meaning that feature doesn't indicate the specific environment any longer. It's indicating the category of test. So yeah, that was unfortunate, and this cap was created to categorize tests better and distinguish feature gates from features. So now we have feature gate, and we have different stages of a feature gate that is almost automatic. I think stages are automatic, but feature gate is something you need to add or remove. And then feature supposed to indicate a specific environment you're running into. So for cgroup v1, we never had a feature because we never thought that some tests we will have tests specific for one or another environment. But as we have differences now, I think we need to we get to the point when we can differentiate different environments with different features. So some test needs cgroup v1, it needs to have a feature cgroup v1, and some test runs on cgroup v2, it needs feature cgroup v2. I think we get to that point. And then once feature is implemented, in the past, we needed to get the YAML file on test infra to have like environment definition, so all the like image properties and whatever bootstrap we're running, and it needed to match whatever test we filter. And typically, like we use focus and skip to query which test to run. And what would happen is you declare the test and then declare the focus on specific feature, meaning that this test lane will only test something for this feature. So that's a kind of overall background. I will put this link here.
Thank you.
So now when I look at this spec name, it's something that we didn't introduce it before, but I think it may be time to introduce it. Like when we declare the feature, meaning that you need a special environment, maybe this feature needs to be passed into test definition. So test framework can assert on feature test is not running where it's supposed to run. So node conformance can run on any environment. So you can run like specific environment like cgroup v1 with all the node conformance tests, and they supposed to run. But if you run something that is like some feature that is not compatible with test, like test requires a feature and feature wasn't set on a test environment, then it indicates a problem. And we can assert on that. And that is what you're trying to do in this thing. So you pass in spec name saying like it's a specific environment. We're saying cryo and cgroup v1 here, but I don't know whether cryo is of any interest here. So I would think that maybe this flag can be improved, and it may indicate the feature the test declares as a requirement for it. So that may be very good indication or very good way to assert which test run where.
And where would you write what specific feature, like what C group it is? Is it in the summary go test or in a separate file?
Sergey, are you speaking? You're muted.
Oh yeah. Okay, I somehow got muted. Thank you for continuing. So yeah, I found the features. Like there is a, I'll save this link. So we have a file called feature go, and it declares all the features we want to use. And features, like the idea was that we took all the tests and extracted all the features in the single file here. We didn't have time to put to-dos on every one of them, and we wanted every SIG to go and document their features. Like you see, there are a bunch of to-dos still. We did some work on cleaning up on SIG Node. I don't think we cleaned up everything, but most of it I think is cleaned up. And one of the feature I showed just now is downward API huge pages. So this feature, yeah, it's still not documented. Yeah, I think my assumption here is that this feature only works on an environment with huge pages enabled. And when you declare the test, you're saying this test tests downward API and specifically feature, it requires the environments with a feature downward API huge pages. So I would think that it requires huge pages to be enabled and set up by default. So that is how we use features today.
So it would go in the SIG describe like arguments, a part
Yeah.
of that. Okay.
I think it can go to SIG describe, and I also think it can go to Ginkgo context or it. I don't remember which one of them.
Yeah, but Sergey, one question. I mean, because I saw that recently we have used this, what you described here with the pod level resources. So I saw in the CPU manager test, for example, it's being used. So my question was, on that test, we need to update the kubelet to enable the feature when it is end-to-end underscore node. So what is the benefit of describing it there? Is it for the CI where it's being used to do a double check? Because it seems it doesn't enable by default the kubelet. We have to do it when we update the kubelet config.
Yeah, that's interesting thing. So I think we need to. We're still a little messy on declaring feature and feature gates. So some things needs to be declared as a feature gate. And it doesn't require to have special environment. It just requires a feature gate to be enabled. And I think we need to distinguish these two. For the second part is when the test declares and disables something, I don't think feature use is appropriate there. I think it just like if you don't need special environment except feature gate needs to be enabled, then you can run on any environment and you don't need to require the specific feature. You should only require a feature gate. And then if you declare it this way, then we can run your test on any environment, and we can decide if you want to or not to run your test because it has a feature gate of blah,
Okay.
and this feature gate is
So
is
if
an
in our
output.
test we enable a feature dynamically, I mean, we update the kubelet config and we enable a feature. In this case, you think it's not necessary to use this? Is my understanding
I
correct?
think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think it doesn't require this because it doesn't need any specific environment. And that is exactly the conversation I want to have is we have these edge cases when we want to test enablement and disablement of features, and how to describe it is, I haven't thought about it in details, but I think there is a solution. It just, this PR sparked my interest because we wanted to do some cleanup on test lanes before, and this is a perfect opportunity to do this cleanup as well.
I did
Yeah.
have another question. You mentioned oh, actually, sorry, I think Ajay was.
Jago, you had a hand.
Oh no, I was just like referring to an example of swap testing. We have like a filtering for C group v2 at the image config file. I think this is something you may want to need to do. Is that the suggestion you are also passing, Sergey?
Yeah, so for C group v2 specifically, we can have different routes. I think the consistent route is to declare the feature C group v1 and feature C group v2 and require one or another if you have a specific test that needs that. And then in test lane, we can say this test have or doesn't have C group, like specific C group. It may be a little too complicated if you will say, I think what we can say is only C group v1 is special environment and C group v2 is not special because it's default. And then it will simplify it because we don't need to add C group v2 to every single test. We just assume that C
makes
group
sense.
v2 is the
Yeah.
default.
It will also help us easy to migrate in the later when we replicate beyond.
Yeah, for C group v2 specifically, I put another suggestion in one of the PRs. Let me try to find it.
Was it about the fail C group V1 true flag?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I can copy
So
the
for
link.
C group V2 specifically, a consistent approach would be to go with features, and if you would have that pattern established already and everybody follows this pattern, yeah, it would be no-brainer, right? But right now we have a mess of test lanes and everything. So one alternative here is specifically for C group V2, since we get C group V1 into this like maintenance only mode, we can start enforcing fail C group V1 true on all the tests by test framework. So like test framework today, when it starts kubelet, it decides which flags to pass to the kubelet. And it can decide that by default, it will pass this flag to fail C group V1. And you need to explicitly override this flag in your test job definition. So your test job definition will have fail C group V1. I think we use it somewhere, but maybe not. Okay, we only have it in true. So I think what we can do is to say fail C group V1 equal false. If it's set explicitly, then we wouldn't add this variable to kubelet. And in this way, we can say that by default, all the tests will require V2, and then only if you really need V1, only then you need to specify it explicitly by fail C group V2, V1 equal false, and then you can run C group V1.
Would that be on top of already adding the feature or as like a different option?
I think it's slightly different option. I think I would prefer migration to features everywhere. It's generally, I feel it's a best approach long term, and everybody will just follow the same lead. But if this will also work, like fail C group V1, if you want to do it a little faster, we can go this route as well.
I'd like to attempt the long-term solution, migrating to features. Good learning opportunity.
Yeah, and it will also, if you or somebody else on this call also want to help clean up things, like for instance, some features today replicate the feature gates, and I'm specifically like I did it before, so I had a feature for pod device health and resource status, and JP, like I was working on it before we introduced the feature gates thing, and my tests were marked as a feature, and then JP was working on the same cap for DRA in this release, and like one that we just released, and he used the feature gate flag. And because of this flag mismatch, like we can run both tests in the same test lane, and we had this problem. So like some cleanup was scheduled for this release to make them both use feature gate instead of using feature, because it doesn't require any special environment. They just need feature gate to be enabled.
Yeah. Sergey, is there an umbrella issue you can refer to where if we want to help?
No, I don't have it. Do you want to track it and help coordinate?
Yeah, because I'm doing now for the in place for the pod research, and I also saw the value of this feature. So if there is an umbrella, I could try to give a help there in my spare time. It's good.
Okay. I can file an issue and put a little bit more explanation what to clean up.
Yep.
I think it will be great. Yeah. And thank you for your PR. I think, yeah, I really like this system spec name. I don't know if it's a good name, and we may want to have like array of features in future, but you already have like contains instead of like exact match. So I think it's very good. Thank you. Is there any questions on that or something else?
None for me. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on then. And I suggest we start with triage over board today, not test the grid. Mostly because last time we wanted to go through in progress issues and see if they're truly in progress and maybe reassign or clean up assignee. But before we go there, let's quickly triage what we have here. Oops. Okay. So we have a new flake on the array. It was filed July 30th, and I believe there is a PR for this. Yeah. Let's see if it's still flakes. Oh, with a yeah, this triage link. There's nothing. So this PR is merged. I wonder if it is adding a call. No. Let's see if we change it to today. So yesterday it was still flaking, and today is flaking. Oh, last flake was 14th, and now after that no flakes, and the PR was merged. Two days ago. No, 3 days ago. Yeah, it roughly matches the timeline. So yeah, I just retriaged it into. I hope it's done, but I cannot tell for sure. Invoke part of image verification policy earlier. It's a product change. I will keep it in SIG Node PR dashboard, but we'll clean it up from here. Okay, update metrics docs list for 134. Again, sounds totally as a product change. I wonder if test got changed. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's oh, test instrumentation. That's why it's area test. I'll archive it from this port. Okay, fix Google certificate reload when connecting by IP address. Again, this is mostly product change. I think they add in one end-to-end test as well. Yeah, and here I think I asked to add node conformance as well. I think one of the comments was, yeah. So this is one example when tests supposed to be working on any environment. That's why I asked to add node conformance, and now this test will execute as part of pre-submits and as part of any environment. But I didn't review in deep, so if you're interested, please assign yourself, but I will move it out of this dashboard. Okay, working on test case, it's work in progress. Support Kubernetes for test binaries. Yeah, there's another thing that's happening. I don't know if you're watching enhancements and what chatter is about. So there is a cap testing some invariants for tests. So we're discussing what can be invariant for tests that needs to be validated, and there are some examples like some desires to validate that there were no race conditions, for instance, or that to validate that there are no log stuttering, like some log message that appears over and over again. This kind of invariance will be tested. And yeah, there are extensive discussions whether it's valid or not valid invariants and whether it needs to be validated. But yeah, Kubernetes is one of those things, I believe. Yeah, it's mostly on test framework, so I would archive it out of SIG Node. But if you're interested in participate in discussions or just read about it, look in enhancement repositories. There is a cap for that. DRA resource slice informer. Yeah, it's a product change, 44 files. Once again, big product change on DRA. Okay, couple more. Okay, there's a PR to add node conformance to config my update test. So it's not only node conformance, it's like regular conformance. I think it's titled wrong. Yeah, so yeah, it's in E2E /common/node. It's different. So those tests executed against the cluster, not against Kubernetes itself. And so node conformance indicates that, like, I don't know why node conformance is used here. I don't think it's needed here, but conformance it, that's what make it conformance test. So now this indicates that any cluster that calls itself Kubernetes needs to run this test and ensure that it's running successfully. Yeah, I'll need to comment that node conformance is not needed here.
So just curious, would having framework.conformance it replace having mode conformance?
Yeah, I think so. Framework.conformance it has extra check. It validates that this test is added to this YAML file, and this YAML file is used to for Kubernetes conformance program. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying that vendors will, like, after every release, like let's say after 135, every vendor that wants to continue calling their service Kubernetes, they send a test file with all these test results. So they're saying like this test passed with like this is the logs from this test, and that test passes the logs from this test. So that's a conformance program, and after, like, if somebody would not submit this file, they cannot use trademark Kubernetes any longer, at least for this release. So this is a conformance program, and as a way to enforce it, that is to use this framework.conformance it. This tag is mostly for our classification where to run this test, and I think it's doing nothing in this case. I think they just use the same tag everywhere when it's not needed. Yeah, I think it's just consistency. I think, yeah, I will need to look at this. Maybe instead of asking to change it in this PR, maybe you can and takes the whole file and removes the not conformance here. So this, again, this tag is used to enforce conformance, and this tag is used to change our queries to understand which environments to run it on. And again, not conformance doesn't do anything in this case.
Thank you for explaining the difference.
Okay. I'll keep assigning it to me, and it's here. Okay, let fail fast. Check for. Well, this is what we just discussed. And you plan to continue these features, and
Yeah.
I think I will review and triage it in. Yeah, I left a comment and we can discuss further offline. Okay, we done this triage column, and I wanted to go through this in progress column today. Oh, we already 41 minutes. Let's see how many bugs we have. 8 bugs to triage. At some point we need to fish out needs information, but yeah, let's spend another maybe 5 minutes on tests, and then we will go to bugs. Just to do. So to do has 1 assigned. Everything else unassigned. And this column doesn't have anything unassigned as well. So it's all assigned to somebody.
We have 3 that needs approval. I don't know if it makes sense to.
Yeah, this doesn't have LGTM. Yeah, I'll take a look. And maybe Francesco is on the call, and Francesco also can help with this. No, he's not. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we truly on track on these issues that are assigned to somebody, because some of them are corresponding to flaky or failing tests on the test grid, and if we're not making progress, we need to make sure that we either put it back into to-dos for somebody to pick up, or we want to make people pay attention.
Hi, this is Guna. I'm attending the SIG Node CI meeting just for the second time. The
Mhm.
first issue that is there in progress, which is more of a feature, enhancing pod life cycle transitions, testing and documentation. So with respect to this, I'm just doing a small POC kind of a thing, since the main requirement of the issue is that the docs have to be auto-generated from the tests. So I'm trying to do something that is similar to what is already being done in the controller gen. So basically, when we are trying to create an operator using some markers, we specify the RBAC within the code, and the YAML files get generated automatically, right? So something on those lines in a given test, some sort of keywords like a generic framework which actually runs, and when it checks certain markers on the test cases with certain keywords, it will automatically generate the documents. Something on those lines. Currently, my code is still in progress. I'll be sharing a small POC kind of PR to get further comments on that. Refactoring the code shouldn't be that difficult, so I'm keeping that as a second priority. So probably within next week or by the end of this week, I'll have something ready. I just wanted to share that.
Well, that's amazing. And if you want to do a demo during this meeting next week, please feel free to add it into agenda.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. We started the LFX project, and unfortunately we failed on that, but yeah, please ask questions offline as well. I'm happy to assist.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so there are a few. Let's look at failing tests. Just a few of them. Yeah, So this is run C upgrade. I think we sent a run C upgrade recently. Harsh, do you know about run C, like where we are?
No, I need to check with Sasha, I guess, here.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember we at least updated the run C dependency in our code, but I think we also need to update binary.
Is this the cryo job?
I think it affects everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can you CC
it's,
me on this? I'll follow up with Sasha on this.
Thank you.
Do you think we need to update the title or?
Yeah. Which run C was causing problem? Okay. Now title indicate was into the. This one, Natasha, do you have any updates here?
No, but I'll look at it this week.
Okay. Let's see if it's still failing. It actually doesn't fail any longer.
Oh.
So you may be lucky. If you can double check on that, it would be great.
Yeah, I'll
Maybe.
check.
Oh, thank you. And then, yeah, some deracing. John assigned to it. Okay, waiting for backport now. Yeah, I think it's in progress because we even have a backport, so should be fine. Okay, we only have 12 minutes. Natasha, do you mind to take over and go through bugs? And I think we can go through issues assigned to somebody next week again.
Okay, sounds good. I need screen share permission.
You're now co-host.
Okay. There's only 8 issues, so I'll try to go through them quickly. Here's the first one. Okay, eviction manager. When stats called failed, we evict pod. We couldn't get stats for. This is a super old issue. This issue has not been updated in a year. Okay. Wide range of flakes. Eviction test. If there's a stats API failure, we evict the pods we couldn't get stats for. I see. So it was accepted. Some discussion on how to solve it.
Should we try to see if the issue is also happening now or?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I can volunteer if you want, Natasha, and I can take a
Yeah.
look and update to save some time. Yeah, I can do it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't see any updates, so I imagine it's probably still an issue. Let me triage accept it, but if you find that it's not an issue anymore, we can just close it. Thank you. Okay. Here's the next one. System Kuba API admin does not have permissions to issue checkpoint. Kuba had started exposing a new checkpoint. I believe this is missing. Okay, I expect it to have this permission if this is intentional. Please document why. Let's see. Okay, looks like this one also went stale. There's a PR that was closed. Why was it closed? Mechanically, this looks correct. Did we verify it was unintentional? Is it? There's a comment from Sergey saying that exposing this is not in scope and suggesting we take this to CAP discussion.
I have no memory of this.
This is really old, but there's a lot of comments here about like, is there a CAP being written? We need to bring this up as a proper API. And that it's out of scope of the existing CAP. I think that means that this is not a bug, it's more like a feature request.
Yeah, because I don't think we have this endpoint. Do we already have it?
Node/checkpoint. I mean, from what I gather, it sounds like
there
it
is.
was recently added in the forensic checkpointing CAP, but it's like intentionally not exposed to the
But-
control plane.
But does this mean that now it should be moved to kind feature instead of kind bug? Or
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like remove kind bug and then kind feature. And you can take it off this board.
I think it's reasonable.
I think the bot will remove it from this board. So I'll move on. Okay. One by socket not working when pod users. This is also a really old issue. An AI application and expect to achieve the highest performance by using topology manager. Is Francesco on the call?
No.
No, okay.
but it's kind of difficult to duplicate it if you don't have a CPU with 5 GPUs. So
Yeah. All right, so to reproduce it, you need multiple GPU cards. Let me see what the discussion has been. Oh, Francesco and Sloppy were tagged.
Do you want to ask them if the DRA solves their use case?
Sure.
I don't think DRA may solve the issue of CPUs and GPUs alignment. You still need topology manager for this.
The DRA driver for CPU might eventually solve this problem. But yeah, like we are in the early stages. Natasha, if you can CC me on this, I'd like to take a look.
Okay, sounds good. Do you know if there's like an easy, quick way to solve this problem, or would we be asking them to wait until like the DRA driver thing is more finalized?
I think we don't even know whether it's a problem. Maybe NVIDIA GPU plugin doesn't expose NUMA information, and then kubelet cannot allocate specific CPU for this NUMA.
Yeah, but has anyone duplicated this? Do they have does anyone in the call has a hardware where has duplicated it?
I don't know if anyone has 5 GPUs to spare.
I don't think it's only GPU problem, but also the way how CPUs are aligned by NUMAs. I don't know if we have the same VM stuff. GKE specifically.
I'll assign Praveen and then we can revisit next week maybe.
Yeah, probably it may be great opportunity to collect some requirements, like what else people want.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll take a look at this.
Thank you.
Even reading description carefully, maybe way
Yeah.
to solve this problem. Yeah.
But for this bug, I mean, can we ask the author to try it? He or she seems to have an access. So can they try it with the latest and update us? Perhaps, or
Great. Any other comments on this one? Sorry, I'm not reading these carefully because I'm just trying to get through them. Move on to the next one. Pods get stuck in container, creating state when pulling image takes long. Pulling a Docker image takes a bit longer. Pods are never created. You expect Kubernetes to wait or retry pulling. This is a really old issue. But it looks like people were still running into it last year.
Is it stuck or just state is not updating often enough?
Good question. It says it hangs for 15 minutes. It's a really long time.
Yeah, I don't know if Kubernetes have anything to do with that.
so in the last comment, someone duplicated it with the recent Ubuntu or newly created pods. Okay, I can take a look because I have a setup which I can check the logs if I found something if you want.
We probably need to mark those needs information. We need to ask for container runtime and kubelet logs. And if there is no neither, we just need to close it. Because it's clearly not a 99% it's not a Kubernetes problem. Something happens with container runtime misconfiguration or something like that. Networking issue.
Okay, so if we prove that it works, then we can close this, correct?
I'm also kind of sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say yes, we can close it. Or at least mark as needs information and remove it from triage.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the people complaining about the issue are using Minikube. So I'm wondering if it's like actually an issue with Kubernetes or just some configuration issue.
Maybe we can comment saying the actual image pull happens outside of kubelet, like containerd or CRI, so maybe they can pursue with those repositories if the issue is still there. Kubelet just hands over or CRI runtime, CRI interface, right? The image pulling task. So
Move this to neat information, and we are at time.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.